everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. Well, this is a day I have been waiting for about a year because I'm finally getting to grow things in my brand new Birdies raised beds. These beds are about 29 or 30 inches tall. My previous video, I showed you all about the raised beds and how we put them together and how my husband installed them for us. And so this afternoon, I finally get to dig in the dirt out here. I come to you from mid-Missouri. I garden in the zone 6A, 6B, and that means it is time to start my cool weather crops. Anytime you can start working the soil, early March, you can start sowing seeds for these kinds of crops. So I have, let's see, 5, 6, 7 different things I'm going to be sowing seeds for today. And so my idea is I'm just going to take you along with me on the process and tell you a little bit about what I'm growing, and we'll look at the seed packets so that we are making sure that we're sowing the seeds at the right depth and the right spacing, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So before we jump into planting and me showing you what I'm going to need for this very simple project, I'm going to ask you all to please like and subscribe to my channel. It allows me to continue to grow my channel to reach more gardeners, but also subscription is free. So if those of you who haven't been on YouTube before aren't quite sure how that works, just click that red subscribe button. And what that'll do for you is every time you open up your YouTube app, either on your phone, tablet, or maybe your desktop computer, and I actually watch YouTube videos about gardening on my television. But when you log into YouTube on any of your devices, then anybody that you subscribe to, those videos will pop up on your homepage. So you'll know when Garden Time with Belle has released a new video. So I would really appreciate you guys doing that. All right, so here is what we're going to need. We're going to need the seed packets, which I have already laid out where I want to plant things. I'm going to maybe use garden gloves. You know how I am. I can't feel seeds with gloves, so I might just use my bare hands. We'll see how that goes. Maybe a little trowel for making some rows if I decide to do that. And then maybe this little hand rake. I've already raked this gorgeous brand new raised bed compost mixed soil, so it's really fluffy and lovely. So it should be really easy to work in. So I'm going to try to do this without my sunglasses, but I have really sensitive eyes, so don't be offended if I end up putting my sunglasses back on as I get to work if the sun starts irritating my eyes. And of course, I've got my water, so. Okay, so it is time to get underway. All right, let's get started in this bed. So on just half of the bed on this side, I am going to grow carrots. And both varieties of carrots I'm going to share with you are carrots I grew last year, and wow, 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 they were absolutely phenomenal. One of my biggest encouragements for you all is to grow the things you eat. You know, I think sometimes when we're starting out, we're so excited, especially vegetable gardening, we try to grow everything. And I have found over the years, I need to really pare down to grow only the things that we really enjoy eating. I have limited space, so why not maximize the space with things that we love to grow and to eat? And carrots is one of them. Okay, first crop I'm going to sow are carrots. I grew these last year, and I'm going to grow 2 different varieties. I'm going to go, this one from Johnny's is called Glow Stick Moonrise, and these are gorgeous carrots. They come in a mix, so I'm going to have dark purple carrots, bright orange carrots, yellow, and sort of kind of like a burgundy colored carrot. They are gorgeous and delicious. So let's read the seed packet and see what it says. It says I want to sow the seeds a ½ inch deep, quarter to a ½ inch deep. I want them to be, think about carrots underground and what kind of spacing they need. So I'll probably do 2 rows. I might do 3 rows. And what I tend to do is because the seed's so small, I'll sprinkle the seed down the rows, cover them, and then once they germinate and get up, 2 or 3 inches, then I'll come in with my little snips and I will snip out several of them so that they're not too crowded, because they have to have that space underground to get bigger. On this end, I'm going to grow a Baker Creek variety that I grew last year that also were absolutely sweet and delicious, and it's called New Carota, I think is the pronunciation. I'm not exactly sure, but basically same thing, about an eighth, quarter inch to half inch deep, about the same depth. And I'm going to just broadcast the seed in, not broadcast, but I'm going to sprinkle the seed in rows, let them germinate, and then once they're up 2 or 3 inches high, then I'll come in and I'll just snip out ever so often so that I provide plenty of space for these beauties to grow underground. The last thing I want to share before I'll bring the camera in to hopefully give you guys a little close-up look of how I'm going to sow the seeds. Last thing to know about carrots, they can be a little finicky in that you do not want the seeds to dry out. And so I'm going to come out here every day until they germinate, and I'm going to make sure this is evenly moist. One of the tricks I tried last year, and I might actually end up doing this tomorrow, is once I've sown them and watered them in initially, I will take frost cloth, which is breathable, which rain can get through and sunlight can get through, but I may lay a barrier of frost cloth over the top of my seedlings, and that will actually help retain some moisture so they don't dry out, because once they dry out, you got to start all over again. All right, let's get started. So my neighbor had a big truck pull in their driveway just a minute ago, and I hope that's not going to interfere. I don't think you'll be able to hear it over my mic, but anyhow, I hope you'll be able to hear me as I share with you and show you how I'm going to sow these seeds. So remember, 1/4 inch to half an inch deep. And you know, I've gardened long enough that I kind of know how deep that is. However, you can sometimes get really cool trowels like this one. And this one, you can't see it on the video, but they actually have markings from 1 inch to 6 inches. So when you draw it through the soil, it can kind of help you. Sometimes I'll use actually a chopstick, and I have a chopstick where I have taken a Sharpie and measured a half an inch, and on, and then I know how deep that is. But I am just going to guesstimate about 1/4 inch to half an inch deep. And what did I say? I said I was going to do a couple rows. So let's see, this is about halfway in the bed. So I'm going to draw my trowel through the soil. You know, I love to use my fingers. So I'm going to draw 1 row, and then I'm going to come about, I don't know, about 4 inches away and create another row. Okay, just like so. All right. So I'm just going to sprinkle my glow stick seed down each of these rows. And they give you a lot of seed. This has 750 seed. And they do that because a lot of us sprinkle seed and then end up taking a lot of it away after they germinate. So I'm just going to sprinkle seed down each row. Just like so. A little bit more on this end. Woo! It is not an exact science, that is for darn sure. All right, I'm going to put my seed back in the package. Probably spilled some, but that's okay. And then I'm just simply going to lightly cover that seed by pulling the soil back over the top of my little carrot seeds. And I'm going to gently tamp it down with my fingers, so just like so. Then, of course, after I get done sowing all my seed today, I will come back in and water them in. So, got my stake, my little tags I already made, and that's going to go right in the middle of those 2 rows. All right, easy peasy. Same thing, just with the different seed new Corota varieties. So same process. Could not be easier. You know I love to say that, but it's absolutely true. The hardest thing, as I said, with growing carrots from seed is keeping them moist. You got to keep your seeds moist. Absolutely. So they're a little fussy that way. But you know what? They sell you so many seeds that if I happen to come out here and find that the seeds dried out for some reason, then you know what? I have so many seeds in that seed packet. That's all right. Live and learn. I'll just do it again. I'll just try again. Will not be the first time or the last time that I've tried to grow certain things and didn't necessarily work out the first time. All right, here I go. Okay, carrots are done. Okay, I have moved on to my second raised bed, and I just have to tell you, like, this is so easy. Not having to be on my hands and knees and just barely leaning over to sow the seed. Like, wow, eureka. Why didn't they invent these a long time ago? Okay, so the first crop I want to share with you that I'm going to grow in this bed is Swiss Chard, and it's the 5-color silver beet variety, and it is a Baker Creek seed. I also grew this last year, and it was magnificent. My germination rate wasn't great. It was probably about 60%. So I'm going to sow more seeds than I did last year, hoping I'll do a little bit better. And my idea this year is I am going to grow my Swiss Chard right down the center of the bed in just one long row because I have lots of greens that I'm going to sow in the other 4 quadrants. So let's see. We've got to read seed depth a ½ inch. Spacing 6 inches apart. Frost hardy, yes. So again, everything I'm growing today can take frost. It's not too early to start your greens and your cool weather crops at all. This is the perfect timing for where I live in a zone 6 mid-Missouri. All right, so I'm gonna make my little furrow, as they say, my little trench, about a ½ inch deep, right sort of in the center. And oh my goodness, this Swiss Chard is absolutely not only delicious, but a beautiful crop. It looks beautiful, almost ornamental in your garden, but it's also really delicious and super healthy. So there we go. Let's open up the seeds and take a look. Oh, yay, they're bigger seeds. So it says 6 inches apart, but I am going to, I've got enough here. I'm going to do 3 inches apart and hope if some don't make it, I'll still have plenty of plants this year. So that's my idea. So I'm just going to eyeball what I think is 3 inches. I love flowers. You know me. You'll be seeing me plant a lot of flowers, cut flowers and annual flowers. But I'm telling you, so many vegetables are beautiful. And you're going to see me this year more than ever before mix in a lot of beautiful flowers in with my veggies in these raised beds because I think that mixture is nice and it's also good for the biodiversity of your plants. And different plants, different veggies and flowers bring in different pollinators that can help each other. So if you have an opportunity, mix it up. Put in some flowers with your veg, and I think your plants will be healthy that way. So again, just like before, I'm going to cover my seeds with a 1/2 inch or so of soil, and then I'm going to pat them in. You want to make sure they have good contact. The seeds have a nice, good contact with your soil. That's why I'm doing that. Let me just mention something to you all real quick. I know that some of you are very experienced gardeners, so watching this, you might be like, oh, fast forward, and that's perfectly okay. But you know what? I've watched a lot of YouTube videos of gardeners, and I still do. I get so much inspiration and knowledge. But you know what? There are a lot of us that are just starting out in gardening, and I appreciate details. I appreciate instructions. So I don't want to take for granted that some of you may have never grown Swiss chard, or you might never have grown carrots from seed before. So I'm trying just to share with you guys what I do in my garden. There are many, many right ways to garden. I want you just to be creative and try different things. But I really want to respect those of you that didn't have that information before, or you're brand new and you're wanting to try some new things. I know that my age, I started gardening probably almost 40 years ago. There was no YouTube. There were no videos to watch. And by golly, I would have loved it if I had had somewhere to go to learn beginning gardening tips and tricks. So I hope that this will appeal to not only you seasoned master gardeners, like me, but new gardeners as well. And I don't know a gardener out there, whether you've gardened for a month or, 50 years, all of us can learn. We're always learning, and that's the beauty of gardening, is learning and trying new things. So, all right, so I've got my Swiss chard in. Let's switch it up and let's get to my greens, and I'll tell you about what I'm going to grow there. I'll probably talk about it, and then I'll fast forward the video as I sow the seeds so you don't have to sit through that part. So let's see what greens I'm growing. Okay, in this section over here, I'm going to grow spinach. I've been growing veggies for many, many years. I do not know what my problem is with spinach. If you all have some tips and comments, please help me figure out what I'm doing wrong. I don't know. My germination rate for spinach is horrible, and it shouldn't be. It might be my seed. I love Johnny's seed. I tried this seed last year, and germination rate was just so-so. So I'm going to try it again because I don't want to waste seed. And this seed is almost pushing 2 years old. Now, there is some seed that will last for 3, 4, 5 years and be viable, but each year after your seed is fresh for that year, with each subsequent year, your germination rate will go down a little bit. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use up all these seeds in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scratch this up with my fingers, or maybe I'll grab my little hand rake, and I'm going to do what they call broadcast. I'm going to just take all this seed and broadcast it in here and hope that I get some decent germination. So that's my spinach, and it is Tundra is the variety. Down here on this end, I am going to do another Johnny seed, and I have grown this before, butterhead lettuce. So that'll be nice. Over here, I'm going to grow some more Johnny seed, and I've grown this before. I am going to grow Escarole. Escarole is a type of green that actually is quite common in Italy. I use it in a lot of Italian cooking. I've got a wonderful soup recipe. It's like a super mild kale, but like really mild and soft and tender. It's also good sauteed with mushrooms and onions and garlic. So escarole is going to go in that spot. And last but not least, over here, I have a Baker Creek Rocky Top lettuce. So this is a leaf lettuce, and actually it's a blend. And I had some leftover arugula seed, so I threw that in here as well. And again, in that space, I'm going to scratch up the surface of the soil, and I'm going to broadcast this seed because it's just leaf lettuce. So it's not going to be individual heads of lettuce. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'll bring the camera in a little bit closer so you can see how I sow the seed, and we will get this brand new, beautiful raised bed full of greens and Swiss chard. Well, that's going to do it for today's garden project. I had so much fun using my new tall Birdies raised beds to sow 7 different veggie crops for what I hope will be a delicious spring and early summer season. The last thing I have left to do is to do a nice little watering in of the seeds so they stay moist. So I hope they'll germinate. And I'll always be sure to bring you back with some updates so that you all can see how this sowing worked out, and I'm hoping it's going to work out well. And so until next time, I wish you all happy gardening.